This is LOA Recon with Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we explore the ins and outs of conscious creation to manifest our favorite dreams come true. Let's have some fun together. Welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode. Guess whose dog's sitting for me right now? I put Harvey in charge of Olive and Winston. How cute is that? He wanted to come in to record, but I didn't want to put Olive in her kennel, and she has not been left alone with the cats unsupervised ever until now. Well, she's supervised because I asked Harvey to keep an eye on her. You know what they're actually doing? I'm pretty sure both of them are laying on the other side of the door right now, waiting for me to come out. They are so cute. Okay. Hey, I got some really cool episodes planned for you, but they are topics that require me to flesh them out a little, do a little bit of research before they're presentable, and I have not done that, and it is time to give you a new episode. So I am sharing a manifesting story from my regular daily life, as I often do. In fact, this one's from today. I was thinking about how when it's wise to let them be right. You know, sometimes they're right. They just are. There are occasions when they are wrong, but there are plenty of times when they're right. I'm talking about when we have a difference of opinion with someone. And it's a good life skill, a good manifesting skill to know when it's a good time to let them be right and when to give up your own thoughts in favor of theirs. So I can't remember what had happened that had me thinking about this, but it's been on my mind already. It's been on my mind. And then today I went to the salon. To see a new person. Okay, because the person that I was seeing before was not responding to my requests for an appointment. And I texted her when I already needed to get in. And then I waited like 2 weeks. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll get back to you. You know what? She didn't get back to me. And it didn't feel very downstream. It didn't feel like path of least resistance to keep bugging her for an appointment. So instead, I went back to a salon that I have not been to since before COVID. That's how long it's been. Staff had changed. That's actually one reason I stopped going there, because my regular stylist, she quit once the virus was out. When I called the salon, I knew I would be seeing a new person. And because I wasn't willing to wait 6 weeks for a master stylist, I knew it would probably be like, a new person, not just new to me, but maybe even new to the field. But I didn't know. I got booked with a girl who is a student in training. I went to a student in training. That does not sound like a good idea for a girl who already has a sketchy hair vibration. I mean, my vibration about my hair, it can go either way. So that was a questionable call on my part, but I really did not want to wait any longer. I'd waited too long as it was. So I knew that I was making that appointment. Actually, I made the appointment. And then I realized you made that appointment with the vibration of like frustration and a little bit of desperation. These were not ideal vibrations to be taking action with, but I knew that. I could tell I didn't feel 100% good about it. I was like, or like maybe 59%, maybe 63% good about it. So I was like, girl, you better make sure this is the right thing to do. So I practiced the vibration of loving my hair. I practiced wow, it looks fabulous. Oh my gosh, look at me. Who knew it could look this good? Where can I go? Who can I go see? It's stunning. Such pretty colors, such a flatter. I practiced all that, okay? So once I had that vibration dialed in, I asked myself, do you really want to go to a student in training hairstylist? And you know what? It was still a yes. And I won't say that I got to 100% feeling good about it, but it seemed like I was in the neighborhood of 75 to 80%. And I figured that's good enough for universe to deliver something good. So I go to the salon and, the girl, I liked her instantly. I mean, I really liked her just from the look of her and how she greeted me. I just had good vibrations from her right off the bat. I really, really liked her. And then we sat down and had a little consult, and I told her what was going on, and, well, she could see what was going on. And her conclusion, she was pretty much going to do what everyone always does. That's actually what I'd booked. I booked for low lights and highlights and a haircut. This. I'm sorry to be so excited, but I was so excited when I said to her, because there was one stylist once upon a time who quit to become a nurse. I'm sure she's doing good things in her new field, but she was really amazing. She did this thing that no one had ever done before, and I hadn't found anyone to do it since. Even when I tried to describe to them what she did, they looked at me like I was making it up. But she did this thing. Apparently, it's called feathering. I learned that today, where you don't put the color on right up to the very base, so you don't have this hard line for grow out. It's called feathering. Oh, I love it so much. And this girl knew all about it. Oh, I was so excited about that. I thought, this is a good sign. She not only knows it, but she agrees that it's a good thing for what I was looking to achieve with my hair, which, a major consideration for me is low maintenance. And when I say low maintenance, I mean low. It is my goal to only be in a salon chair, maybe maximum 3 times a year. I'm not going every 4 to 6 weeks. It is not happening. So I was excited. We've got a plan. And then she said, let me just have my trainer check in on this. I don't know if she called her trainer or her instructor, but she's like, I got to have someone check my work. And I thought, oh, dang, this girl's really new. Like, she's still got someone keeping an eye on her. She's not allowed to make independent decisions. I was coaching myself. Don't freak out, Jeanette. And her instructor was right next to us. And this girl was young. The instructor was young, way, way, way young. At least she looked young to me. I learned that she was 31. She'd been doing hair for 10 years at the same salon. Man, we had to talk about that. I'm not going to elaborate on that. I'm going to stay on track, so this is not a long story. So it's interesting because the new stylist was older. I'd say maybe in her 40s, younger than me, but older than her instructor. So the new girl was older than the experienced master stylist, who looked like, I don't even know if she would be legal to drink, frankly. But that's who was in charge. So she comes over to hear what we were going to do, and she has a very different idea about things. Like, she comes to a very different conclusion than we had. When she heard what I wanted to achieve, which was basically that, I've been getting highlights for long enough. It's making me too blonde down here at the ends, but I can't go dark, which I would love. I can't go dark because the gray regrowth is not my joy, and I refuse to touch it up every 4 or 5 weeks. So I can't go dark, and I'm not loving this blonde, and I need low maintenance. And I was raving about feathering. And then she says she's got a totally different idea, something that I have experienced before, but I never really understood. I still don't really understand it. But she says, let's do a toner. And those two have a long conversation with each other about how to do that, because the experienced one, says it's going to be 2 different toners. Is it tones? I don't know. 2 different tones or toners? I don't know. She said where they're going to be. One's going to go here, one's going to go there, and they're all talking about why. All of this was way over my head. She was explaining, because it's darker on top, but she has these panels of platinum something. I stopped listening, but I really did enjoy it. I liked having 2 pros, and let's face it, even the new girl is a pro, even though she's new. I really liked having 2 of them talking about my hair. And they were putting their hands in my hair at the same time. I felt a little bit like Winston. He just melts. Whenever someone puts their hands on him, it's like he's hypnotized. He just melts. He loves it so much, and I did too. So, look, so far I was really liking this appointment because I realized in their conversation, this instructor, even though she looks super young, she's really good at what she does. At least that was the impression that I gathered, including because it seemed to me that just about every other stylist in the salon was paying attention to this consult. I mean, like I was making eye contact with people, with other stylists and other customers. I think everyone was wondering, who's the crazy girl who's with the student? It was me. Okay, anyway, it seemed like there was a lot of attention on my hair. And my gremlin was thinking, with everyone who is, they're washing their clients and they're cutting their and blow drying and they're all paying attention to what's going on over here. Okay, maybe not all. It seemed like it. And my gremlin was like, they disagree. This isn't what they would do. They are silently judging all of this. They're judging the instructor. They're judging the new girl. They're judging me. But then I thought, I was like, get a hold of yourself, Jeanette. You don't want to manifest something terrible here. So I thought maybe not. Maybe they're just picking up tips. Maybe they're listening because they know this instructor is really freaking good. It turns out she is. Maybe they decide she's just so good. They want to hear. They want to learn. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. Okay, let me remember. Why am I telling you this? Oh, right. Believe them when their idea is better than yours and learn how to let them be right. That's the theme of this episode. So our whole original decision about lowlights and highlights with the feathering plan is out the window, and instead I'm going to have 2 toners applied in 2 different parts of my hair. And in this process of this consult, they pointed out how I had 2 different kinds of gray, and one of them was especially spectacular. Okay, those weren't the words they used, but they said something like really pretty. Like one of the grays was really pretty. I don't know. There's something going on. There is something going on with my hair. It's true. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but one of my lashes and eyebrows are dark and the other one is blonde. And there's something weird going on there, and something's going on with my hair too. I don't know. Anyway, they're talking about my hair color and my natural hair color, not this blonde highlighting stuff that's been overdone, but they're talking about it and they didn't call it especially spectacular, but something along those lines. And I looked at them in the mirror and I didn't say anything, but I squinted my eyes a little because I was thinking, like, who are you trying to fool? I'm right here. I can see it. And they could tell I didn't believe them. So one of them said it again. And I was like, you know what? You're nice girls. I'm not going to argue with you. So I did not argue. I was just like shoulder shrug. Okay, whatever. I didn't believe them. And I didn't understand something key was happening in this conversation. I might have been paying too much attention to what other people were paying attention to and trying to talk me out of my gremlins, saying something really scary is happening here, because I missed the part of the conversation where we had apparently somehow collectively come to the conclusion that they were going to remove my blonde colors and that I would be gray at the end of this whole experience. I did not understand that that was the game plan. And I mean, I do remember, as I recall in hindsight, I remember at one point, one of them said, you want to keep it natural, right? I'm like, yes, natural is that. Well, that's how I want to look. I want to look natural. I don't want my natural gray. I didn't mean natural gray. I didn't mean that. I meant just, I wanted to look natural, but natural blonde or natural brown, not natural gray. And I do recall one of them saying, you're cool with your gray, right? And I responded, yes, I am cool with the gray. But what I meant was I'm cool with the little amount that I have after we've colored most of it. I didn't mean like, yeah, let's do it all. I did not mean that. I did not understand. I also didn't understand apparently how much gray I have. Okay, so there was some confusion going on about what was happening, mostly on my part. I probably should have been clued in when a passing stylist, they didn't just look from afar. Some of them came over and commented and talked, and one of them walked by, a different stylist, not mine, nothing to do with my girls. She walked by and she said offhandedly to me, this should have been my clue, when she said, You are so brave to embrace it. Okay, that's maybe, she didn't exactly say brave. She might have said it's empowering, or maybe she said good for you, or something like that, that I didn't really understand at the time. In fact, when she said something, it sounded like an uplifting, encouraging comment. In hindsight, I realized she was saying, that's bold and maybe ill-advised. The tone in hindsight, she was probably thinking, I wouldn't do that if I were you. I didn't know that's what she meant. I didn't know what she knew, which was that I was about to go all gray. Oh, gosh. So, oh my word. There I am, the new girl's doing the toner. And she is getting instruction from the instructor on every little step, which I'm appreciating because I'm like, yep, take your time. Make sure everyone's cool with what is happening here. Remember, at this time, I did not know what was happening. And you know what? As an aside, I'm going to say that I mentioned it was a little odd for the young one to be the guru and the older one to be taking instruction from her, but I really did appreciate it. In fact, this is not related to the story, but I liked how she gave her an instruction on something. She said, it was how long to leave the toner on. The master stylist said, look, your inclination is going to be to wash it out too soon. You really don't want to rinse it until you're starting to panic. That was her instruction. And the girl's like, really? And she said, yeah. She said it so confidently, yeah. So they're both standing there watching my hair do whatever my hair was doing, which was apparently turning gray. And the girl says, okay, I'm starting to get uncomfortable. Like she wanted to rinse the toner out. And the experienced girl said, not yet. And they were talking about how you can't just even put a timer on it. You just really have to watch it happen. And she said, you want to wait until you think you have a real problem on your hands. Like panic is what we're waiting for. That's that for some reason, that instruction just cracked me up. Okay, that was an irrelevant aside. Okay, so she finishes doing all the things and she did it in the right time that the master instructor told her to do. And then we get in the chair and she takes the towel off of my head. And in that moment, I was not sure what I was looking at. This is not anything I've ever seen before. Oh my word, it didn't exactly compute for me. It's kind of like that myth. This didn't actually happen. But remember the story of the natives who couldn't see the ships because they couldn't conceive of a ship. They'd never seen one, so they literally didn't see them out on the water, even though they were right there. Apparently, that never actually really happened, but that's what it seemed like was happening for me in that chair at that moment because my brain could not compute what my eyes were looking at. Are you laughing right now? Because I was not in that moment. I was not laughing. I was like, what is this? And I said to myself, okay, Jeanette, well, you know what? Sometimes you can't tell what color it is when it's wet. It dries a different color. Like, that's a thing. You know that. Relax, chill out. And that's when all the pieces started coming together in my mind. The way my stylist had said to me, she said when she applied this toner to her hair, she freaked out at first because of all the silver, and she called it silver. She gave her a lot of silver, but she said it was okay because it washes out after a couple of weeks. And I heard that story and I was like, silver, sounds shiny, kind of exotic. Imagine that. Sounds cool. I didn't know she meant gray. She meant gray. And then I was thinking of the comment from the stylist telling me how brave I was. I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I authorized? What have I authorized? But my freak out didn't last for very long, and I think it was pretty unnoticeable, and I'm going to credit soul attunement for that. I have mentioned soul attunement before. I talk to clients all the time who say they've never heard me talk about soul attunement. It's a free meditation online. Soul attunement, I'm pretty sure it's .org, not .com. And I don't know what's going on with those meditations. Actually, a client told me once, she said, it's a vibrational attunement. So I've talked about it before, so I'm not going to elaborate right now because my story's already long, Jeanette. Come on. All right, But I didn't freak out as much as it seems like a girl would who was unexpectedly going gray in one fell swoop. Oh, there's no transition. There's no get used to it. There's no prepare your friends and family. Oh, this is happening. Okay. So I was doing pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself for how calm I stayed in that chair. I thought I was handling it really well. And I still was holding out hope that maybe when it's dry, it's going to be a different color. Maybe. But no, that's not what happened. No, that's not what happened. Oh, gosh. That's not what happened. Yeah. So she gave me a trim. And the whole time, I'm wondering, what am I going to tell my guy about what has happened here? I don't see too many people in regular daily life, but I'm going to need to warn him somehow. I'm wondering, can I text him from under the cape? And I thought, no, she might see my 911 text to him, and I don't want her to feel like she's misled me because it's definitely my fault, right? But I'm sitting there wondering, where are the gorgeous highlights and the dimension-adding lowlights? What is this stuff? Why do they think anyone would pay for this on purpose? And I wonder, is it too late to have them do something else? And I thought, yeah, it's probably too late. If you're going to fix this, it's going to have to be at a different visit. So again, I'm crediting Soul Attunement for being weirdly relaxed during this freakout. And she's still having her instructor check every step of my haircut, which is when I learned this girl is she's still practicing on fake heads of hair. Like, she mentioned her mannequin, I think is what she called it. Like, she needs to practice more on mannequin because the experts like, girl, you missed this, that, and the other. They're fixing my hair. And I'm like, wow, this girl's so new. So new. What have I done? And in the process of the instructor checking her work on this haircut that I was getting cut by two people, they kept marveling at how pretty this color was. They did. They said it with a straight face even. And all I can say is, in response to them saying that, is that, because, they're looking for my agreement. They want to know how I feel about it. No wonder they were checking in. Oh my gosh. All I can say, I didn't say I was unprepared. I didn't say this is unexpected. I just said it looks better than it did when I walked in, which was true. Mostly because of the haircut, not because of the color. But they're raving about this gorgeous color treatment that has happened on my head. And all I can think about is, how am I going to explain this to my guy? This guy, his ex-wife and his mom and his grandma, they were all stylists. I think even his first wife was a stylist. He grew up in a household of beautiful hair. He's used to women with beautiful hair. Now he's got to look at this. What? And this guy's already younger than me. Did I really have to emphasize our age gap like this? Did I really? Oh, my word. And you know what happened then? I decided this is one of those times to let them be right. Stop arguing that this is a disaster. Stop arguing that this needs to be fixed pronto. Just let them be right. Let it be pretty, Jeanette. Let it be something desirable instead of what I was thinking it was. Let them be right that someone would do this on purpose. Consider that maybe you really do have a stunning shade of gray that they have matched perfectly. Maybe, they were talking about what a blessing it was to have this natural color gray. And you know what? When I thought that, I remembered, I for sure got this from my mom, who she also got compliments on what a pretty gray she has. Her stylist told her the same thing, that she had the prettiest shade of gray you could have. And I looked at my mom's hair. It is pretty. But I was like, I didn't get that. I didn't get that same shade. Dang it. But yeah, pretty gray. That's what they said. And I thought, you know what, Jeanette? Let them be right. And I had suggested some light layers in the back and a little bit of shaping in the front. And the girl, she did that. And then she asked, did I like it or should she do more? And I looked at it and I said, I don't think I would change a thing. It looks good to me. And I meant it. like, no, it doesn't need more layers or more shaping. It looked good. And I said, I don't think you could do anything to make it look better. She really wanted me to like my hair. So I said, this is good. But then she calls the instructor over because that instructor's, that's probably good. It's probably a good process. She's approving even these final little, whatever they call it, finishing touches. And you know what? The master stylist, she did not even ask my opinion. And I didn't say what I thought until I thought my girl needed a little backup because the instructor said, I'm still laughing that I went to a student in training, but the instructor was saying, you got to be more aggressive. And she started cutting more hair. And I chimed in. I said, look, because the student seemed a little put off. And I said, look, I would have walked out happy as it was. But the master stylist didn't care. She did not care. She is chopping away. I'm getting more shaping. I'm getting more layers. And I've had nightmare layers before. Oh, if you haven't, count your blessings. This girl, she's like not stopping to ask, what do you think, client? She's doing it. And the probably is because, look, that when they initially asked, I said, I'm open to opinions on what you think would be most flattering for my super oval face shape. And this instructor knew more aggressive shaping or whatever they call it. And that's what she was doing. And she did it a lot more than the student did. Because I heard the student saying, oh my, oh. And I was turned away from the mirror. And I was like, what's happening? Ooh. But then they turned me around to look in the mirror. And guess what? The instructor was right. It looked better than it did before. That's two in one instance of let them be right. I'm thinking about this subject, like how many boyfriends I didn't believe when they told me I looked good. I just remembered where I was thinking about this subject initially. Oh, my word. Jeanette, don't cry when you tell this. I'm already just thinking about it. It's making me emotional. All right, so just before I tell this part of the story, my disclaimer that I'm a jerk. Okay, sometimes I can be. I was looking up reviews on the Airbnb house down the street because I thought, maybe, if I have to move because of all this ridiculous construction happening in our little valley, and I would hate to sell my house because of all the trees that I've planted. I mean, could I really turn them over to someone else? I didn't know if I could. And I thought, well, maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can do the same thing everyone else is doing here and Airbnb your place out. And that would make my new mortgage payment wherever I move to. So I looked up to see what they were charging because I seem to recall it was like $550 a night or something like that. And I thought, just see if you're thinking that right. And in the process of looking it up, I read the reviews that their guests were leaving about the place that they stayed at, which is just one house away from me. It's just 2 houses down the road. They were saying things that... When I read these things, I cried. I'm just reading them to myself, and I literally cried. I read how much more everyone loved my valley than I did. And this was my home. I live here. This is my paradise. And they love it so much more than I was. I mean, because I got on the whole too much construction, too much traffic, too many lights, and yes, I temporarily forgot my mantra that had gotten me through some tough times on the development issue. I was all grumbly about this bad thing, that wrong situation, just mumble, grumble, being all mad about it. And here were people who didn't even live here that were raving about how amazing it was, how beautiful. That was a very common comment, how beautiful it was. And I'm like, beautiful? Pff, yeah, before there's a 3-story mansion going up next door to me that looks more like a temple than a single family dwelling. And they were talking about how peaceful it was. And I'm like, yeah, peaceful until the construction workers get here. And how quiet it was. And I'm like, yeah, well, until all you Airbnbers rolled up with your party of 7 having a barbecue out back. And they were talking about how lucky they are to be here and how they hope to come again. And how nice everyone was, and I was like, "Oh, we probably didn't meet because I wasn't throwing a lot of love to strangers walking on my road." I'm like, "You're making my dogs bark. They don't know you." I'm like, "What are you even doing here? I don't come to your neighborhood. Do I walk down your street? What are you doing here?" I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit about how I was complaining, but not as much as I'd like to think. So I was reading these comments about what it meant to them to get to spend their anniversary up here, or to celebrate their wedding in this gorgeous place, or what a fun reunion it was for the whole family when there was something for everyone to enjoy, or whether it was the hiking or the skiing or the fishing or just seeing the stars at night or feeding the horses. I think they meant Minnie the donkey, but there was a group of yogis. They had a yoga retreat up here. They said it's their favorite place they've ever held it. They hope to come back again next year. And people came for their management team retreats, and they were talking about how recharged everyone was after spending a week up in this gorgeous place, and how they just couldn't imagine a more beautiful place to work remotely. And I was not proud to realize that they were loving my home more than I was. The same way my boyfriends were appreciating my body more than I was. The same way I think some of my Facebook friends might love Harvey more than I do. I know I love him a lot, but some of you seem like you might love him more than I do sometimes. And look, this is my home, and it's my body, and it's my forever true love canine companion. If anyone's going to be flowing the love for these things, it seems like it should be me. And the same goes for my new gray hair, too. They're right. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's amazing. After I texted Chad to prepare himself for what he was about to see, and I said, and not in a good way, because I realized that text might make him think, whoa, it's going to be amazing. I was like, not in a good way. After I texted him, I didn't look in the mirror, but you know what? I just felt the rightness. It just felt so right to let my hair be what it wants to be. Like, it doesn't have to be any different than it is in order to be beautiful. How liberating to just let it be and enjoy it, whatever it is. So I didn't look at it in the car. I mean, I saw it in the salon. And I was like, I don't need to see that again. It could be a while till I get in front of a mirror again. And then I got home and I finished clearing snow from the driveway while the dogs were having a play break, and they were so happy to see me. And then I went in, and when I did look in the mirror, I was like, dang, girl, you look good. And I meant it. Like, it was pretty to look at. I liked looking at it. And I could see what they were probably seeing, not just what my gremlin said they say so you don't freak out and so they can still get a tip. I realized they were right. This is pretty. This is something a person should do on purpose. So that's my story about how sometimes it's worth letting them be right, to know when that is, and then be able to give up your own unhelpful opinion or perspective. That's a really good LOA skill. To take a cue sometimes when they're on a better page than you are. Let them convince you of the beauty or the perfection or the blessing or even just the okayness of whatever they see in a better light than what you are seeing. And look, they're not always right. I guarantee I got plenty of podcast in me about how to let them be wrong. Sometimes they are worth ignoring completely. When they say something that your inner guidance does not agree with, that is appropriate too, but this is not that episode. This is the episode for having the wisdom and the grace to let them be right when the occasion calls for it. It's okay to be wrong sometimes and let them be right. All right, hope you enjoyed my story. Thanks for listening, everyone, and happy manifesting.